some of these videos can be a little challenging because when I come on, I'm going to give you my opinion based on theories, based on directions of theories on my trajectory. So if you're not prepared for that, now is a good time to push the stop button. If you're ready, let's continue. So I'm excited to share with you some of the theories that are coming together through thinking. And the thinking has been a topic, for me it's been a topic for about a week and a half, really like getting down into it. But I've been sharing with you the topic so you can consider new information that can be applied for your self-awareness. This whole game is about self-awareness, self-love, and selflessness in a way that supports everything instead of one thing outside of self. And the topic of hand is going to be the ego. Now, why do I want to talk about this yummy, scrumptious energy, which is, by the way, both male and female, tapped into and part of a collective consciousness? I want to talk about this ego from my own perspective. This Susan ego, I love her. I love her, and she is lovable. I was in the shower, and I was setting up my energies in my home, as I do every day, and I like to do it in the shower because it just feels right. And I'm talking to the Divine Mother and the Divine Father. I'm talking to my support team, and I'm talking about how proud I am of Susan, the male-female ego. Let me put some top 5 reasons why I love her. I love her willingness to be wrong while searching for what's authentically right from the heart space for a win-win. I love the fact that she's okay with not being perfect. I love the fact that she's constantly learning and willing to learn. And I love the fact that she's endured some really amazing amounts of cruelty. And she has no desire to be cruel back. She has no desire to harm those that have seek to harm her. And at the same time, she's imperfect because she's part of a collective, so she understands that. What else can I say about her? She has, this is the most important thing, she is willing as an ego to evolve. She is willing to center herself with the Divine Mother and the Divine Father and seek out that she has a mission, a purpose, a reason, and rhyme for her being here in this collective state. Susan is a go-getter, a supporter, a lover, a visionary. I love Susan the ego. I love her. I love her so much. And what's not to love about her? What's not to love about the ego that is within each and every one of us? They are frail. They don't know they're infinite. They don't know they're lovable. They they do have the ability to do right by others. They do have the ability to grow and to evolve. And we're talking about an evolution right now, right? So if we took back the past and we said 100 years or back even further, and we look to see about the evolution of humanity, right? Susan the human as an ego, male and female. So the evolutionary state has been so challenging for so many because we've got a lot to contend with, right? We have a structural system that tells us who we are. We have religion saying that we're a sinner. The structure of it, okay? So we're not going to get into religion. We're not going to get into politics. We're not going to get into any of that, because it's such a, there are, I call them energies at the gate, right? There's energies at the gate of those topics that want to defend those topics instead of expanding. There are energies at the gate of structural systems that want to stop us at the gate of inferring that they don't work. Well, I'm going to tell you something. They don't work. They don't work. I don't work if I'm not expanding in evolution of something that I'm connected to, that I had to seek outside those structures. And that is that Susan, the ego, comes with and is here with a soul that is eternal. Not because anyone can tell me this, because I know this for myself. And that I am loved. I am perfect. And this came up last night. There is an awesome person I'm going to connect you up with at the end of this video. So I'll put that on the side table. I am perfect. The words came up, perfection. You are perfect. And I was like, can I let that sink in, right? If I said to you, or ego, you are perfect, you would either accept it and start to become the culmination of that perfection, or you would deny it, push it away, and you would say, I'm not, from that perspective or for that reason. But what if today, along with me, as your reflection, started to embrace that ego that does not know itself as love and perfect and magical and infinite, and we 100% said, I am here for you. No, forget changing a world mindset. Change the mindset, the thoughts of you, for your ego's sake, for evolution. That's what I'm proposing today, an evolutionary state of you. It's happening in me. So if I'm your reflection, then you can celebrate. If I'm not your reflection and I'm just some kooky chick, will know that I'm a kooky female male chick. I have been both. All exist inside of me. I am moving towards wholeness. Wholeness, that I am perfect. You can't have the words perfect and not be whole. Right? Cannot. They go together. They go together like milk and cereal. They go together like chips and salsa. Or guac and salsa and chips. Okay. Anywho, I'm not going to get off on that chat. So this word perfection came in yesterday. It was the perfection of this timing of me posting information to someone that was just having a prayer about the information and their evolution of their ego, right? That has been willing to see itself as infinite, or the possibility of infinite, right? Is what I feel like this awakening state is about. This awakening state is about your willingness to allow yourself to see yourself as this ego that is time for evolution. And it doesn't require anything other than your choice within you. And I think that I feel like everything's been kind of pointing at that, right? So positive mind thinkers are pointing at it, life coaches are trying to encourage others to feel good about themselves. I think there's parts of religion that do want you to see yourself as a spiritual being, right? But then they shame the ego. So therefore, it's not wholeness. Not wholeness if everybody's not a family. I think that master teachers have been trying to say something like this, right? But I'm breaking it down into a very simple term. How to see that from which you are putting love and attention into, right? Because the infinite part of yourself, the one that knows it's infinite, the one that knows it's love, doesn't need to put love there. It already is that, right? That is the quintessential part of you, that we are all masters. We are all religious. We are all everything, right? We are all sacred, perfect beings. Who doesn't know this? I'm going to rip it back around to the ego. The ego does not know it. The ego wants to fight. The ego wants to protect. The ego wants to do what its nature, conditioned or non-conditioned, right? That's subjective. Its nature is. But I believe deep down inside every ego, right? There is, you may have to dig deep. There's a remembrance of something, like a spark of hope, right? So my people are saying, well, why do some people know this and why do some people don't know this? I believe that's because some people have been a human, right? The ego, the human, has been a human for a really long time. They've been recycling that human conditioning, right? For a really long time. So their awareness inside them of their infinite self has been a while. It's been a while. So there, we could have compassion for them, right? Compassion for the ones that don't know themselves as infinite, right? That ego that didn't evolve because it had been here such a long time, right? So it's like, sometimes we meet older people. This is the example, but just a story of an example, not a fact that I believe, okay? But stories can help because they kind of help give you some reference point, and you're like, oh yeah, I can see it from that perspective. Which is why storytelling can be a benefit when trying to reference. Anyhow, I don't know why I'm being so cautious about that. So this old person, and you meet this old person, right? And they have been adamant about who they are their entire life. Like, and then you go, leave them alone. They're not changing their mind. They're adamant about who they are. And if they do change their mind, I mean, that's really got to come from within. But they're pretty, the words like they're pretty stuck in their ways would be an example of a soul that keeps recycling, right, from that specific energy. Or what about those people that are adamant at the gate of religion or politics or victimization? Whoo, those are heavy energies, right? They come at you and they're coming for blood. Like they are, like, I call them like, they've been like keeping the gate of that energy for a long time, right? So they don't know themselves from their original state. They can't possibly. And I don't laugh from like lack of compassion. I laugh from scared. Like when, there's something you should know about me. When I get scared of a theory, right, I start to laugh because it's really uncomfortable for me. One time I was on I'll make this short, but one time I was on this bike, right? And I was driving, I was in my cousin's house back east, and there was a pipeline, and they said it was a motorbike, and they're like, just remember to don't go by the pipeline. And this will sum up Susan as a total. And I was like, but I'm having a good time. And I'm just like, there's so much freedom when you're in a field of so much space. And at the same time, you're like, on a motorbike, something that's moving really fast. And of course, I was just, what was that thought again? So then hit that part that had the space, right? So then the bike and I flew, and we or flying through the air, I'd hit my face on it. It really did hurt, but all I could do when I got up, and all I could do while I was in motion, was laugh. Obviously, I was in danger, but I could only laugh from the uncomfortableness and the scaredness, and why is this happening to me? And why did I forget, and all that good stuff. So laughter, I think, is probably how I've gotten through my ego, right? My ego, my human side, is how I've gotten through this human experience intact, right? Where I can like look at you in the eye and say that I have love for myself and love for others. I have compassion for myself and compassion for others. And this is not a face that hasn't, gone through many of the human experiences. I mean, I look like I don't know, my look does not always show. I have been through, right? I've been through it all too. I've experienced it as an ego. I've played all different parts. I am seeing it from all different angles. And that's what we're talking about, seeing it from all different angles. That is why I feel like those egos that are awakening. The first thing, because part of the ego consciousness is a collective mindset, right? So they're wanting to get their friends, family, strangers involved in this awareness because they're so excited. The ego is so excited. It's like it's waking up to its divinity. It's waking up to its superhero gifts, you know what I mean? And it wants to share it. It wants to support it. That's in my opinion, the innate nature of the ego. Some may say otherwise, but I'm seeing this innate part of myself. So therefore I can stand behind what I'm saying from my own experience, from that perspective, which is really cool. So anywho, wow, it's weird. It just got super dark in here. Woo. So they're like, what is going on? Why are these people, why are the Christians wanting to kill me? And why are, why are people trying to shame me and all that stuff? And those are the egos that are farther down, removed from knowing their divinity or excited about that. Maybe they didn't even agree on a soul, their soul knows that they did not agree, that the ego itself did not agree to accepting itself as love. Or maybe on a trajectory of like, we need, 10 layers in of love to hit before theirs is to kick in. Everyone's so different. And I don't have those answers, nor would I care if I did, right? Like, leave that to the divine and her children and her overseeing her children. My goal right now is to nurture and take care of Susan, the soul of Susan's ego, and to see others in my reflective eye as my mirror, right? And that's what I want to share as my theory, approach. In addition, I want to put a shout out to the Fifth World, because she's actually the one that reached out to me yesterday after I posted, and she is another ego, right? Miss Fifth World is another ego that is awakening to her divinity. I'm going to take this off here. I'm going to show. Okay. She is another, where is that remote? I try to keep it on the remote, so forgive me as I spin around in circles. She's another, I'm just going to walk you through this process of finding it. Ooh, I just found my cacao drink. This is delicious. Ooh, and there's the remote. She's another one of my reflections of my ego, who, as I'm talking to you guys, I'm spinning, that knows herself as divine. Now, are we 100% there? No, but we are on our way. All together supporting, the egos are supporting the egos that know themselves as divine. So this one is called The Christian. It's been up 2 hours and she's doing really good. She's got 172 views. I've rewatched it several times, but I just want to show you her ego and how beautiful it's intermingling, right, with her I am presence, how they're coming together, they're flowing together, they're like amusing each other, like they're amused to one another. It's really beautiful. Here we go.
And
She's so cool. Hang on. And she can see, like her ego has sight.
it was beautiful.
Look.
A brand new world is up. I love that.
There you go.
That. Yeah, same, Leland. I mean, you guys, I'm just so grateful for the ones that are here and the ones that stick out. I really am.
Here we go. Let's see what she's gonna tell us, guys.
Tornadoes.
She's so cool. She's like, her sight, her ego is so desiring the awakened state.
Okay. What I'll do is I'll just go through some of the pictures.
Her purpose for being here is in motion.
Like my big face won't show up on one of them and embarrass me.
See, that's her ego.
Okay,
not
so there's an
100%.
example of one that I have worked on.
And this
You
is her
see the
ego
serpentine
knowing.
goddess, God, whatever it is, inside. You see the invisibility of these spheres. I just got word that it's like some sort of Jupiter, some sort of cloaking that the ancient ones have, invisibility cloaking that they do have. But this is also the spirit world that we can't see. They are literally, they shine through color, not through light. So they're in colors that we cannot see yet. Some of us are starting to be able to see those colors very slowly. It's just like, you know, if you just started tripping all of a sudden on DMT or acid, well, I guess you do on DMT, right? You know, it can be a very jarring experience. So this is a gradual divine experience where we get to see the things that we were originally supposed to be able to see, but not all at once. And so we've all expected this like flash of light where we all of a sudden everything would be different. And there's times where I think about what if that really were the case, and that wouldn't be any good. That is not what was meant by it. Now, I do understand that we will transfigure at some point, but that's once we have already, you know, been completely prepared. And part of being prepared is to start to see the new colors and to start to understand what the spirit world really truly is and what these Naga, who the Naga really are, and how it is the Holy Spirit after all, and it is Christ after all, and it is the Anunnaki, the ancient ones. All of these things they've lied to you about. And so I see all of these very respected people giving storylines, and that's all they are. They're just made up storylines. That's what these people are put in place to do, is to author these storylines to keep you from the truth. So keep that in mind while you're researching.
Okay, so she brings up a great point. Who are these individuals, right, that want to keep you from the truth? These are ancient egos, right? There are some ancient egos that have been here for a really long time, like a really long time. Like when we were talking about how you go to talk to someone and they're looking at you like you're nutballs, right? Because they don't know what you know, because their ego hasn't decided to awaken yet and know itself as love. And so then you think about that, and then think about far removed egos, right? Anything that would even create this structure system that defines itself not as love and compassion, then you know it's ancient, right? So it's been so far away from its divine mother and divine father, so far away for so long. It's like a child that's gone away to school and then they've forgotten that they are divine light. So they're creating and generating from a lack of knowing who they truly are, not from them not being part of the divine light, because everything has to be created from divine light, because that's the theory of the Big Bang, right? So we're starting to understand these stories. Isn't it fun? It only took 1.5 years of me going through this trusting and loving, and it's a journey, right? Like it's been awesome. It hasn't felt awesome at times, but it's really awesome. This it's an exciting time to know that my ego wants this. So there's no part of me that doesn't want this. You know, what part of you doesn't want this yet? You know, to know that you are loved. To know that you aren't abandoned here and that you are loved. And those are the parts that just give it love, give it attention, and say, oh my gosh, you know, like a child, I did not know that you were still unaware of how loved you are and how perfect you are. You are perfect, right? I am perfect. And that's what came forth yesterday when Fifth World was like, oh my God, I was just praying. And then you're talking about it. And by the way, Spirit and I had been like, do the video. But then I was like, I can't, I'm too tired. I just couldn't, I couldn't muster. I could do the card readings and that was fun. But the rest, I was like, but then it came out and it was perfect, right? And then that's the other thing, is that my movement is perfect and your movement is perfect. We are perfect. We are so perfect. And yeah, it's just the part of your ego that doesn't know it yet. And I'm working on those pieces. It is my honor, my pleasure, my reason to be here to ensure that every part of my ego, the little boy, the little girl, the scared one, the excited one, the enthusiast, the hard worker, the go-getter, the altruistic, all parts of my ego, right? Because we're not all one thing, knows that they are loved and perfect. That is the goal. And I hope I inspire that goal in you. And if not, okay. And if so, yay, good times. I'm gonna encode this video. I think it's done. Although I do enjoy conversing with this space in my heart. I'm going to encode this video with the highest light, highest love, and highest of sounds and vibration. Ooh. Did I tell you that when I do that and I watch my own videos, I get like a Shakti of my own energy from my I am presence? That's why I prolonged it. I wanted to offer that up as a mirror reflection. Peace.